Hello and welcome to Inside the Mind of, a podcast where I dive deeper into the minds of some of my favorite people and people who inspire me in the wrestling community. Join with me today, co-founder, co-host, and editor of World Elite Pod, and social media manager for Floor Slapper Sports, which is such a tongue twister if you really try and say it,
Really is.
Dylan Hebert. Now that we know how to pronounce your last name, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Katie. Thanks for having me on. I'm very excited to be here.
Oh, I mean, it's rare when someone reaches out to me to do this. So thank you for reaching out for wanting to do this. This is one of my favorite things. This is like my baby. ShElite's a great show, and I'm very proud of it. But this is my baby.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, the moment I had the opportunity of asking you to come on, I've been watching your series for quite some time now. So getting the opportunity to do so, yeah, I knew I had to jump at it.
Well, thank you. It's been about it. I don't even remember when the first episode came out. It's been about a year, at least.
Hmm.
Oh God. Yeah, because if she leads a year, so that means Inside the Mind of roughly a year, give or take. But yeah, we're reaching some milestones. I'm very proud of this. I think we're about 20 interviews in, which is something I never thought of. So again, thank you for being a fan of this show and
Of course.
me and wanting to be on.
Oh, yeah, it's not a problem at all.
So why not get started here? How did you get your start in podcasting?
So my start is quite lengthy. It all started pretty much how anyone that we've ever talked to when it came to podcasting got their starts, and that was during the pandemic. We got our starts. We started the show in November 2020, and
Okay.
and you would think around the pandemic when it first started, which for around here and mainly anywhere in the U.S. was about mid March to early April, I would say, is whenever things really got bad over here. Well, I got married on March 7th, 2020, and we went on our honeymoon. And about 2 days in, and that's when the pandemic really started happening, and we had to come home, and we were like on lockdown the whole time. So if me and my wife were going to test our marriage, then I mean that was it right there, being locked in the house together. So so I started doing graphic designing for a smaller website called Downtown Sports Network. I was actually reached out to about it because they've seen my work before, and if my work was good back then I feel like I've gotten a lot better because I do it for Floor Slapper Sports and I do our graphic work for World Elite. So I was reached out to about doing graphics, and all of a sudden I wanted to do more because I feel like I wasn't contributing as much, and if I'm a part of something I want to contribute more and more and more. That's why I started out with the graphics for Floor Slapper Sports, and now I'm the social media manager, and now me and Tim have a lot of projects that are in the works right now. So I started doing article writing about wrestling. Kayla, who's one of the co-hosts for Queen's Takeover, she was the head writer over there, so I got with her, and so I started writing about wrestling over there, but it's like I still feel like I was not doing enough. I wanted to do more. And it's like, being cooped up in the house, it's like you want to do so much, and there's so much, is like you're so limited. So all of a sudden I got with the guy who owns the website, and I'm a big fan of the New Orleans Saints, the football team. And I told him I want to write about the Saints too. So because I watch the games, I've been going to games for like 15 years. We had season tickets. We just gave them up recently with my mom's health and everything. So I got with a guy who did the articles for the Saints, Devin Jackson. So I started writing about the Saints for a couple months, and I always asked him, is there any way that we could start a show about this? I know there's multiple shows for Downtown Sports Network that are doing podcasts for their teams. I see one. I think the head one's like the Rams, because the guy who owns the site's a big Rams fan,
Mm-hmm.
and they and has it for the Jets, the Bills. I mean, there's so many teams, but the Saints didn't have one. So I reached out to him, and I said, "Hey, I said, would you want to start a show about this? I know we could talk about the weekly games. We can talk recaps, previews, whatnot." And then about a month of it being in the works, we finally started it in October. But the guy was so busy with his schedule. He's a really busy guy, Devin. So unfortunately, the show is no longer a thing. We even branched off from Downtown Sports, started our own thing, but it was so hard to get him to do a show because of his job,
Mm-hmm.
his personal life. It was just a lot. So me and Marcus actually talked podcasting way before the Saint show was a thing, but it's like we didn't have experience. Like we didn't have equipment. We didn't know how to go about recording anything or even uploading anything.
Mm-hmm.
So once I got with Devin, who gave me some pointers about how to do everything, then he kind of told me, this is what you record on. These are some softwares that I use to edit, and this is where I upload my stuff. So that's when I got back with Marcus. I'm like, hey, I said, do you want to kind of revisit the idea of starting a show? I said, we watch wrestling all the time. We watch all the weekly shows. And he was like, yeah. He said, because I thought about going out and get my own equipment. I already had a mic, I had my laptop, webcam, and whatnot. So, so the idea of us starting a show came back to life. But the only problem we were facing is what do we call it? There's so many wrestling podcasts out there.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone kind of got their start around the pandemic when we wanted to start, and even a lot of people got started way before the pandemic. So many people are like, a few hundred episodes in. We're
Yeah.
I just uploaded 180 a couple days ago. So, so I left Marcus to start brainstorming some ideas, and he presented two names to me. He said one that I for the life of me cannot remember it, and he said World Elite. And I said, well, where did you get that from? He said, well, World from World Wrestling Entertainment, and Elite from All Elite Wrestling. So that made me kind of think that we were going to start talking about just AEW and WWE. And that's what, and our first episode was a recap, I think, of Full Gear from 2020, even though I didn't even watch it. So we recorded our first episode. I edited it, and it sounded great. And it's like we wanted to continue doing it more and more. And the sad part is, I told him this also, is that I feel like I didn't show my full attention to World Elite because I was doing so much with my Saint show that kind of balancing two podcasts was tough. And it's like I did not really care about doing World Elite that much.
Mm-hmm.
So when the Saint show went under, I said, okay, I said, this is my time to wake up, to open up my eyes and see what cool opportunity I got in front of me to keep talking wrestling. There's a possibility that we can start bringing on indie wrestlers. We can talk to other podcasters, have them on our show as guests. And then, yeah, the idea grew more and more and more. And we're near 2 years in. We're about to record our 2 year anniversary next week.
Nice.
So yeah, it's been a hell of a ride. Uh, the show's been in some hot water already. I'm not gonna go into that because it's already been talked about enough last year. But yeah, there's no uh, I'm afraid that there's no two other people I would want to keep doing this show with other than Marcus and then my cousin Jordan, who we brought on about, I would say, 2 3 months into doing the show. So it's been a hell of a ride. It's been a hell of a journey into podcasting. I never thought that starting out doing graphics for a website would suddenly lead into me doing podcasting, and then 2 years later, doing it, because I was not an open person growing up. Just going up to somebody and talking to them, and even doing stuff like this. I would never think 2 years ago I'd be doing something like this. So it's been just crazy.
You are 1,000% correct. 90% of people I talk to, just whether it's through this or just on Twitter, started because of the pandemic. I started because of the pandemic. I was bored. Made a tweet. Bada bing, bada boom. The story's been told on the show too many times. I won't even repeat it. But like thinking of a name was very difficult. Thankfully, I had my co-host kind of we became friends because of like the Young Bucks. So like ShElite, and I was like, oh my god, it's genius. And now it's kind of become its own thing and a brand. And I love seeing the growth of people and like their podcasts. Like 2 years is a hell of an accomplishment, and congratulations to you guys because this will come out. Not this upcoming Monday, but the following Monday is when I'm releasing this. So you guys will probably already have it recorded. So this is my saying congratulations to you guys on 2 years. So you have 100, or you're filming 180, episode 180 tonight, right?
We just did. Well, when it comes to audio episodes, we have 180. If you count like live streams and stuff, we're way past 200.
So,
Yeah.
with either just the 180 or every live stream you've done. Do you have any favorite episodes you've done, whether it's on your show or you've been a part of?
So, yeah, it actually comes from a YouTube video that we just released, I would say a couple of weeks ago. And we're going to be making quite a big announcement on our show, but I guess I'll kind of release a little bit of a spoiler for it. So you're, I mean, the first one to hear this, other than Marcus and Jordan. But yeah, we're a wrestling show. We love talking about wrestling, but we've kind of have been developing into talking about other stuff like movies, TV shows. uh Jordan and Marcus did like a movie review of a Halloween movie. Me and Marcus did like the entire Netflix series for the Dahmer series that came out. We did a review on that.
Mm-hmm.
So we love talking about other things other than wrestling. So we're kind of trying to grow into like a wrestling slash entertainment show. Like we love to
Okay.
talk about other things, and I think it allows us to have more people on that's not on the wrestling side of things that wants to talk about other things. So we interviewed someone who's big on TikTok. He's around from our area. He lives in Lafayette, Louisiana, who's about I'd say 40 minutes from me, and he does a lot of a lot of eating videos. He tries different things. A lot of people send him stuff from different states, different countries, and he was an absolute character. Like this guy was one of my favorite interviews. I would say one of my favorite non-wrestling interviews because we've interviewed a crazy amount of indie wrestlers. We have interviewed people who have gone on to sign with like Impact, who have done shows in AEW Dark and whatnot. Like
Mm-hmm.
we interviewed Masa Slamovich, who's with Impact now. She's one of my favorite interviews. She was really cool to talk to. But one of my favorite wrestling interviews, I would say, is Matt McCarthy. He's a former writer for the WWE.
Okay.
Nick from UW Pod just interviewed him. I would say about a month before we got him. So Nick kind of gave me some pointers as to what to ask him because I booked Matt and I'm like, what the fuck do I ask this guy? I said there's so much to talk about with him, and I just don't know what to ask him. So yeah, thanks to Nick for giving me some pointers on that interview. So, but if I'm gonna say if I'm gonna have a favorite one, yeah, it's gotta be the guy from TikTok. He was so down to earth, and being from Louisiana, kind of that southern hospitality that we always offer over here. I feel like he had that same kind of mindset we did. So yeah, for sure, I gotta go with that one.
Uh, I always love when people like give me like exclusives. I'm like, thank you so much. I feel like a real like reporter.
Yeah.
And like that's kind of the reason I like filming these. I like there was a one point where I did them in bulk and it was like a month before like the person's episode came out. So I always like
Yeah.
that's why at the end when I'm like, oh, future plans, I'm like, tell me for the next like month or two, and just in case. Um, but no, like the entertainment thing will be cool because then you're opening up and branching out to another demographic basically. Because yeah, you have everyone has a wrestling podcast. We all know this. We both have
Mm.
wrestling podcasts. But having a wrestling podcast and something else helps and helps you stand out a little more. So I think you guys are, and you guys have already done, like you said, the Dahmer series and Halloween Ends, which that's a whole nother topic we can talk about after the fact if you want. Um,
Yeah.
but no, that's going to be super cool, and you guys are obviously very passionate about it, so it's going to be something very
Mhm.
interesting to see from you guys because it's a good show. Like World Elite Pod's fantastic, so seeing you guys branch out
Mhm.
more is going to be awesome, and hell yeah, TikTokers relevancy. There you go.
Right. Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So, um, before this, we were kind of talking about how you guys used to live stream all the time and with the league and everything. So, whether it be through those, because I know there's probably a lot, or your own episodes, any unexpected moments you can think of that kind of just stand out in your head?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. From watching your series, I knew this question was gonna come, so I absolutely prepared myself for this. So it was on our last live stream that we did, and for those that are very aware, you know, there's not gonna be any live streams for a while, and those are the people that know what happened. But it was on the last live stream. Everyone was hammered. I was pretty gone, and I think everyone was just having a great time. We were about 5 hours into the episode. Like we had some fun on there, and yeah, just like Tim said when you interviewed him, like we stayed on forever. We always stay on for these episodes, and I was not prepared to stay on as long as we did because we stay on like upwards sometimes 3, 4. I think the longest one I did was almost like 6 hours,
Jesus.
and I was pretty much dead by the time that it was over. And the crazy part is for that one is when the time changed and the time went forward. So I lost even more sleep. So thank God I'm off on weekends because that really helped me. Um, but if I'm gonna say unexpected, I think I'm gonna go to our last live stream that we did, and all of a sudden, Nick was able to share his screen with something, and you were a part of it because we started live streaming. It was a second live stream, and it was Ritter's live stream, and I think
Oh
y'all had Will
yeah.
from Bounce Pop and Share Shots, and all the comments that they were posting. I didn't put nothing, but they were putting all kind of stuff, and it was just the funniest thing ever. I did not expect any of that to happen. On StreamYard, I know you can share stuff, but I didn't think Nick was on there to where he could share something as well. So at first, Nick was trying to figure out. He's pretty drunk already. He couldn't figure nothing out. And for me, I got the whole screen record on my phone, and sometimes I go back and watch it. It's just crazy to even see that. But yeah, that's pretty unexpected as to something happening on the show. I don't have a ton of unexpected moments from live streams or any episodes, but I think that one right there, if I'm a part of it, yeah, it was absolutely uh, just great.
I remember that because I it might have been the episode we had Will on. Um,
You know,
but yeah, we were just, talking about whatever, and we can all see the comments. And I think it might have been Ryan. And I can't remember who exactly said it. They were like, oh, we're live streaming your live stream right
yeah, it was
now.
Ryan. Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
it
just like,
was.
what the fuck is happening right now?
Oh man, it's so good.
And
That was so good.
that's just, I mean, like you said, you were laughing hysterically, and that was towards probably the end of a very very long live stream. So, and you're all
Mm-hmm.
drunk, or both or multiple things.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because when we do our live streams, we're always drinking something,
Yep.
and usually I really don't drink much during the streams. I don't drink much in general,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like they were going down so good and they were going so quickly. I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna just go for it. So yeah.
I mean, sometimes, yeah, if it tastes good, I like especially if alcohol doesn't taste like alcohol, it's game over.
Mm.
If it tastes like
Oh,
juice,
absolutely.
hell no, I'm done.
Oh my god, yeah. Because I do a lot of seltzer sometimes. I recently got into seltzer, uh, and it does not taste like it has any alcohol in it, but that will put you on your ass quick.
I can't.
That's for
I
sure.
can't do seltzers. I've tried. I'm
There's
not a
some that
fan.
aren't bad. There's some that aren't bad, to be honest. I mean, I do, and this has been a while because I've recently got back into drinking beer. But yeah, seltzers I can do like a Truly or some of those other ones. Like I know they have like the Bud Light Seltzer Sour. That's like a seasonal thing, so I'm waiting for that to come out. Because when we did our first long live stream, I put down like a whole variety pack of them, and yeah, it didn't even seem like there was alcohol in it, but I don't remember much from like the second half of the night. So it's crazy how much that can do to you.
Yeah, I've tried a few different ones. I've called Ronda Rousey a white claw as a human being on
Oh shit.
air multiple times. I'm just I don't know. I'm not a fan. I don't hate people who like them. Y'all like whatever you like. I can't. I'm like a vodka or a wine. I'm simple, easy, simple stuff.
Yeah. Oh man.
So, with very little free time that you have, because you do a lot, what are some of your other
Hmm.
hobbies besides podcasting?
So in my spare time, if I'm not working, I'm not doing shows, and like I said, with my internet being back, being good, then I'm doing a lot of shows nowadays. But if I'm not, and if my wife's actually off, which is only on weekends, then we're going somewhere. We're like, if she wants to go shopping somewhere or something. And like I said, my mom has dealt with health issues, so if there's times that she can go out the house, I love to take her places. I love like For where I live at, it's not a big place, so there's not a lot like around me.
Hmm.
So if we want to go out and actually go somewhere, it's like roughly about a 40-minute drive to go somewhere to actually do something that's not like your typical Walmart, McDonald's, and stuff like that. If you
Yeah.
want somewhere nice, then you're going out of town. So sometimes I like to bring my mom out, to get out the house a little bit. Or since my wife finally got a new job and she's off on weekends, I love to take her places and all that. So yeah, if I'm not spending time with family, then I'm just at my house playing video games. I'm a big video game guy. Or now that football season's back, I'm watching football on weekends.
Okay. Video game wise, anything recently you've played or something you're excited that's coming out?
For me, video games, I'm not your typical shooting games, or I mean, if it's a shooting game, it's more than likely Grand Theft Auto. But I'm more into sports. I'm a Madden guy, MLB the Show. There's nothing really coming out right now that I'm interested in, to be honest. But lately, I've been on like Madden. Me and Jordan, who hang out quite often. He only lives about 30 minutes from me. He hangs out with me on weekends. We play a lot of baseball. I kick his ass all the time on there, and yeah, that's mainly what I stick to. A lot of sports games. I'm a big sports guy, so yeah, I like to stick to that.
Okay. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
When people usually say video games, I'm always curious to see like what they play or what they're into. Because I mean,
right.
Grand Theft Auto is classic. Do you have a favorite Grand
Oh,
Theft Auto game?
probably the only one I ever beat, I would say, is the most recent one, Grand Theft Auto 5. But
Okay,
favorite, I'm gonna go with San Andreas.
that is the correct answer.
Love, I
Yes.
love San Andreas. I think Vice City a close second because
Yep.
I have the bundle that came out like with three Vice City and San Andreas. I've been playing the hell out of that. So, five was the only one I ever beat, and that I actually had the patience on learning the story. But
Yep.
if I ever get time, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna try to beat San Andreas, try to learn the story because I love the story from GTA 5. So if I'm gonna start playing a story, it's definitely gonna be San Andreas.
Yeah. I now that I think about it, I think GTA 5 is the only one I beat. And
Mm-hmm.
like, cause like my brother had like all the Grand Theft Auto games, so I'd always play like San Andreas and stuff with him. But when I got 5, I remember I think I got it like Christmas the year it came out or something. So I spent like the whole next day cranking out as much as I could because the story, like, three different people you get to choose between, and like the stories intertwining, the different
Mm-hmm.
like scenarios you can choose. It's a hell of a game.
Oh yeah, that's for
Now
sure.
now we just need 6 to come out, but with these people keep leaking everything, it's never gonna fucking come out.
Oh yeah. All right, we're gonna be waiting forever for that.
It's I've come to the conclusion it's never coming out. I'm gonna be 45 by the time Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out.
Sadly, yeah, that's the sad truth that we're all gonna face because yeah, I just feel like it's never gonna come out.
I just want to play as a badass woman in the city. That's all I want. Like, I can do that online and fuck around with people, but like storyline
Mhm.
wise, that'd be dope.
Oh, it would. Yeah, that's for sure. But I mean,
It's never gonna happen.
I just feel like we're gonna be waiting forever for it to come out. So you're gonna be waiting a while.
I know. They're gonna have like 5 different consoles by the time the game comes out, and then no one's gonna be able to play it because they're gonna have everything for the
Yeah, I
older
know.
shit.
Yeah. Oh no, it sucks.
So, a question that I always like to ask because I like hearing the answers, and since you listen, you already know it's coming. If you could have a dinner with any 3 wrestlers, dead or alive, who you picking and why?
So my explanation probably isn't as interesting as some of the ones you've gotten because I'm not a detailed person whenever I give
That's okay.
answers, sadly. But first I'm gonna go with my favorite of all time, someone I grew up watching and I as a child imitated him like crazy. So I'm gonna go with Shawn Michaels. He was always my favorite growing up. I just think he could give some really cool stories about stuff he's witnessed in the past. The Attitude Era was a wild time,
Oh,
and everything even before that. So I just think he can give some cool stories. Second, I'm gonna go with my favorite currently right now, and it was tough to choose out of two guys because I have two current favorites, but I just think his personality is unbelievable. And you see him in character, and now you're seeing him right now out of character. And I'm gonna go Bray Wyatt.
yeah. Ooh,
I just
Okay.
think Bray is just unbelievable right now. He seems like he's just a cool, just down to earth guy, and
Mm-hmm.
right now you're seeing him kind of out of character. So I just think it would be something cool to even talk about with him. And he always talks about New Orleans, even though he's not really from New Orleans. So just hearing the connection he would have with the state of Louisiana and even the city of New Orleans would be something cool to hear from him. And I always told myself I was gonna pick someone who's not alive no more. And if I'm gonna choose somebody, and this was tough because there were so many good ones, I think I'm gonna go with the one that maybe shocked me the most when he passed, and that's Eddie Guerrero. I just think his personality, like I said, it's for me, it's all about personality. Bray, I said it. Shawn Michaels, I want to hear the stories, but Eddie Guerrero seems like even though he was like a true character, just during his time with wrestling and seeing some of his out of ring stuff, I think his personality was unbelievable, and I would just love just like Shawn just to hear kind of stories about stuff that's going on. So yeah, that's the three I'm gonna choose.
That's a pretty solid three, if I do
Yeah,
say so. I mean, HBK, who's been doing it for years, and now he's like in the backstage stuff, so you can get like an aspect of that. Bray, who
right.
is probably one of the greatest storytellers in this generation of wrestling, with all of the character work he has done, and with
Mm-hmm.
everything now, it was months of build, and we all knew it was Bray, but the
Oh yeah.
fact that they built it for months and all of the clues, so just getting to learn about that kind of stuff, and then Eddie fucking Guerrero, who was Eddie Guerrero, like the stories that man could tell would be ridiculous. I think
I know.
Eddie and HBK are very popular answers for this.
Yeah.
I would have to
Oh, I
go
know.
back and try and I should do that. I should go back and like look through all the answers people give and see who has been said the most.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that tonight after we're done with this. So when you see a tweet later that explain people who are watching this in 2 weeks are not going to remember this. So when you see a tweet later tonight
Right.
about this, you'll know why. That's I love that. And those are great answers. I love that so much. So, any advice you would like to give to the people watching or listening? It could be about podcasting, it can just be life advice in general. Anything you'd like to give advice on.
To keep it short and sweet, I'm gonna give some advice to people who's given advice to me and told me the same thing. When it comes to doing shows, to doing it doesn't matter if it's an audio recording, a live stream, because live streams seem like they're more nerve wracking because people are watching you,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like you don't want to fuck up because there's a lot going on and a lot of people are watching, and you're like, man, if I fuck up, someone's gonna see it, and
Yep.
for me, I can't go back and edit it because it's already been done. So for me, I'm gonna say just be yourself. Don't try to be someone that you're not, because I've seen people go on shows and they completely turn into somebody different, and that's not what I like. I don't like people who put up a front to try to impress other people, and that just bothers the hell out of me because there's so many people I know that have tried doing this, have tried getting podcasting, and they turn into a whole completely different person, and that's like a huge red flag for me. Since I've started doing shows, and like I said, near 2 years in, I've always been myself. I always try to be myself. I like to connect with the people who I talk to.
Mm-hmm.
When we interview people, I'm always down to earth with them. If they're down to earth with me, I never try to mess that up. I want someone to get a good first impression of it because I want that opportunity of either having them back on the show for a future interview, maybe like a down the line thing, maybe if they had more success down the road,
Mm-hmm.
then for sure we want to have them back on. And even for someone maybe like yourself, if you ever joined our show, and I always want to make that good first impression because I want someone one day to reach out to us and say like, hey, do y'all have any sort of availability because I want to be on y'all show, something like that, because I know that I'm doing something right and someone enjoys what I'm doing. So that's the main thing that I want to say to everybody. It's just be yourself. Don't try to be someone that you're not, because in the end, it's not going to be a good thing.
No, that's 100% right. I've had this conversation with a few people. Like for this, I try and be a
Mm,
little more professional, I guess. I'm
mm,
I'm a very down to earth person. and I usually can keep a cool head depending on topics. But for this, I was just like, I want to be more attentive to the people I'm interviewing.
Sure.
ShElite, I have to pay attention to my co-host, the stream, the chat, my notes, all of that. So for this, I get to just sit back, listen, and engage. And I used to hate public speaking, so the fact that I even do this, I mean, you're probably the same way. Like you don't really like didn't
Oh,
approach
absolutely.
people. We're very similar in that aspect. So being yourself is definitely a huge piece of advice. I 100% co-sign. Like I could see why people wouldn't. It's kind of like some wrestlers, they are themselves, just whatever, and then on screen they just amp it up a little bit.
Hmm.
And I could see
Yeah.
why some people do that. Like that makes sense. But being a completely different person, no, no.
Hmm.
You don't have to do all of that.
Right.
And so kind of like transitioning into that. Another one I like knowing the answer to. You're writing an autobiography of your life so far. What's your title and why are you choosing your title?
Oh boy. I guess I didn't watch enough of the series to get this question because I did not prepare this. My God. This is kind of a thinker because as I mentioned about getting into shows and just getting myself out there, it's just seems like what you can even name something like this, but I don't think I have a clear cut name for it, but I think it's just anything to have to do with how I grew up very shy, and then getting myself out there. You mentioned about the public speaking. I was like that in high school, in elementary, junior high, everything. Anytime there was something to do about sort of talking in front of the class, I was always trying to find my way out of it. I
Mm-hmm.
just couldn't do it. It's just something I was not something with. So while it's hard to give kind of like a title to it. It would just have to be with anything that would just like I said, kind of getting into how I was as a child and then right now. So kind of like building myself up, my self confidence up to actually do something like this and like doing live streams and stuff like that. So sadly, I can't really answer that too much. I'm horrible at those quick answer questions, but yeah, like you kind of catch my drift whenever I talk about stuff like that.
Oh no, you're totally fine. Like I said, I've had people like talk about what they want on the cover of the book, and
Hmm.
this answer kind of takes a life of its own sometimes. But no,
Right.
that's why sometimes I tell people you don't even have to watch because I like getting genuine reactions out of people. Like
Mhm.
um the first two, Reek was the first one. He had no idea what the questions were going to be. And then Matt was right after, but Reek's episode didn't come out yet, so Matt couldn't even watch Reek's to know what was happening.
Right.
So that those two were like the most raw ones because they were completely in the dark, had no idea what was happening, and I thank them both so much for doing that. And Matt's gonna be mad that he keeps getting mentioned on these goddamn episodes, and I'm sorry, Matt. That's our ongoing gag now. Is he gets mentioned every episode,
Okay.
and not on purpose. Ironically enough, one of the last ones I did interview wise was his wife, whom I love. She's
Oh yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we try not to bring him up like at all. But it happens every time.
Yeah.
He's just this little like the center of the wrestling podcast world apparently. Oh, he's gonna
Hmm.
hate this. It's gonna inflate his ego so much. You're welcome. All right, so you brought up future plans with your 2 year anniversary show you guys are shooting soon. Within the next like month or two, what else do you like with World Elite or just you yourself have going on that you want to tell the people about?
So last year, Jordan and I kind of started our own series within World Elite, doing kind of like a superstar spotlight where we talk about some of our favorite stuff about them, like matches, moments, stuff like that. And it was a pretty big hit. It wasn't a huge hit on YouTube because that seems like it's hard to get like like the love on YouTube if you don't have a lot of subscribers,
Mm-hmm.
and we're struggling right now when it comes to getting them. But I mean that doesn't stop ourselves or like lose confidence from doing it because we love doing it. And we're gonna be starting up season 2 pretty soon of that. We started last year. We did like I think 15 episodes. We picked 7 and 7, and then we let people on Twitter pick like our last combo for the finale. And we're gonna be doing something similar to that season 2. We're gonna have like a lot bigger things. We're talking I think more past and present, rather the present we did last year.
Okay.
So now we'll kind of open ourselves up to do a lot more, to do past and present superstars. We'll do the same 7 and 7. We'll let the people pick our season finale again. Really and truly, that's the only future stuff we got coming up. We got some more live streams, more prediction shows coming up in the next few weeks. I know Marcus has his stuff he does with the Royal Rumble episodes. He does WrestleMania, leading to Mania season, and just hoping to get more interviews. We have one coming up in a few weeks with an indie wrestler, Stormy Renee. She's been on our list for a while. She was on our list last year prior to some stuff going on with the show where we had to cancel it. We had her book a few times. She had stuff coming up, I had stuff coming up, and it just never lined up to where we
Mm-hmm.
could finally nail down a date to do something. So we finally got something in a couple of weeks. So hopefully from now to 2 weeks, some other stuff doesn't happen, and then we have to cancel her again. But other than that, we don't have a ton coming up. We normally plan our stuff like the week before,
Okay.
so we don't have any long-term plans other than the normal series that we do. We have a Survivor Series review coming up. We're recording next week as well, and yeah, I mean that's really all we got going on right now. We're more like the week before planned than like we are long term.
Uh, hey, nothing wrong with that. I like I said, like I was telling you before, I have some of these kind of just like stockpiled ready when need be. But then there's times where I'm scrambling trying to find interviews. Um,
Mm-hmm.
is there anyone you want like as either like a bucket list for like the end of the year or for like next year? Is there anyone you guys want to interview, whether it's just like indie superstar or anything like that?
So we reached out to quite a few talents from AEW because we have set our goals on interviewing bigger people. Like we love the indie people we interviewed. They have all been so cool to us. And like I said, there's been some that's been signed to other places like MLW. We got Alex Kane before, who's with them now. Masha Slamovich, that's with Impact now. She just fought Jordan Grace for her title
Mm-hmm.
at Bound for Glory. We reached out to a lot of people, and the only response we got back was Ethan Page, and
Really?
he gave the email to send, and let them know that he wrote back that he's interested, but we have to get their approval, and unfortunately they didn't have any spots available for him. So now my goal now is to try it again a little while later down the road. Maybe don't have something open up for him. But Ethan Page, I always watch his vlogs he does with the toy hunting. I think that's a pretty cool thing. He always brings on different people and whatnot. So I would love to have Ethan Page on. I think it would be a really cool interview. I would love to talk to him about all the vlogs he does and stuff like that. But yeah, that's kind of like the goal I'm set for myself right now is try to get a lot bigger people. And this is no disrespect to the indie people. We love them. They have been absolutely great to us. But I want this show to get bigger. We just landed our first like actual sponsorship, which is a trial right now with Manscaped, and we have to like go through a whole thing about getting that long term deal with them. So hopefully that all works out good. But I feel like it will. But for me, I feel like the show is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So I want to land more sponsorships. I want to talk to more people that have done work with AEW, and even I'm the hardest one to get, and that would be WWE.
Mm-hmm.
So I just feel like this show can only get better from here on out, and getting some people like that would easily help us with that.
Oh, 100%. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to grow your show and make it a bigger thing. And that's one of my future things is eventually go on to wrestlers and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. Is that I was just like podcasts are easier because they're easier to contact and Twitter's a thing for now maybe. So we're just gonna keep
Yeah.
using this. But then that kind of just opens the door and I get to meet more people. Like you and I have had conversations before, and like I think
Mm-hmm.
we talked about. I can't remember if it was before we started recording or not. That the one episode of Smack and Raw I wasn't on, you were on. So we've kind of
Mm-hmm.
like crossed paths here and there. And the offer, I will be on your show whenever. I will just throw that out there as well. Let me know when, and if I'm free, I'm
Yeah.
definitely
Oh,
down.
absolutely. For sure.
So I always leave it up to you guys. Any questions you have for me? I will answer anything and everything.
So I guess I'll start off by asking you how you got your start. Like you asked me, you were interested. I'm also interested in how you got your start into the world of podcasting.
Yeah. So um it was, I don't even remember how, like, when during the pandemic it was. I tweeted something about wanting to be on a podcast. Because this was like around like AW stuff, and I was mainly tweeting about that. And then Steven from Wrestling News World was like, DM me, and I was like, man, telling me to slide in his DMs, kind of weird, but I did it anyways. One of the perks of being a woman on the internet, it's super fun. So I did DM him. He said he had a friend who was doing a show, needed someone for AEW. That led me to Kyle from Smacked Raw. Had like a interview Zoom process thing. That went fine. I was on the next Monday. I was the only girl with them. I was there for a year. At one point, I hosted 5 or 6 shows in a week in a row. It was right before I got my wisdom teeth out, so I was like, I want to crank all these out. I want to do my part. I was originally brought on for AEW Dynamite recaps, and I'm talking like beat by beat recaps, which killed me. I will never do a beat by beat recap ever again because I did it for a year and it was the worst thing I've ever done. But so I was mainly brought on for that. I would help on with Monday Night Raw recaps, and then things kind of switched around. People were leaving the channel, so then I became Monday Night Raw with Kevin, and then NXT with RN, because that was around the time NXT and Dynamite were going head to head. So we kind of decided, well, there's 2 Twitch channels we can use. So we kind of just split the team, and we would live stream against each other, basically. Which at the time doesn't really make sense, but that's fun. And then once I hit a year, I decided I was going to branch out on my own. Well, I brought Savannah, my co-host, on with me. We did like 10 episodes of ShElite on Smack Raw. And it was kind of around that time I was like, I think I want to do something by myself or like on my own. I brought Savannah with me. ShElite Showcase was born. And a year later, we just hit a year of ShElite last month. Yeah. I don't remember anymore. Last month, we hit about a year of ShElite. Yeah. That's the story in a different way that I've told it before on the show, so hopefully people enjoy a different take on it.
So have you ever been to any live shows before?
Live shows, yes. Oh god. The most recent one was when Monday Night Raw came to Pittsburgh. I was there. That was when, oh my god. Who won the tag titles? Fucking Raquel and Aaliyah. Was it them? Did they win?
Wait. It's not the most recent one, huh?
It was the first. I know it was Dakota Kai and Io Sky, and I think it was Aaliyah and Raquel when like the tag title tournament was like ending.
Oh yeah, it was Aaliyah and them, yeah.
I completely forgot it was Aaliyah because I was shocked that they won. I was like, what the fuck is this?
So was I. Yeah.
So that was the most recent one. I've been going to shows since I was a kid. Pittsburgh they usually come through at least once a year for a long time, so I was always going to shows as a kid. I actually just did a separate little show I'm doing on this channel because I don't do enough, talking about the first time and the only time I've been to WrestleMania, and it was WrestleMania 23 in Detroit.
Oh yeah.
That was the Battle of the Billionaires.
Mm-hmm.
Uh huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a time. What an experience. As like
Yeah.
a, I think I was 10.
Wow.
Yeah. I hope that makes people feel old. By the way. Uh, but I just traveled to Vegas last year for the first. It was my first time in Vegas. I went for
Yeah.
SummerSlam, and then this past July I was there for Money in the Bank. So
Mm-hmm.
I fucking love going to wrestling shows. I have to go to Mania when it comes to Philly. It's only like a 5 hour drive from me. Even though they're the rivals, I have to go. It's perfect.
Yeah, cause I've been to countless amounts of Raws,
Mm-hmm.
Smackdowns. I went to my first AEW event when they finally came to New Orleans, and they it seemed like they never want to come back, but they always go to Chicago all the time. So it's like Chicago gets all the AEWs,
Yep.
and it seems like Louisiana gets like almost nothing. And and the crazy part is that New Orleans gets a lot of the shows because I don't know if you remember a few years back, but they did a show in Lafayette, and it was known as one of the worst crowds ever. And when they debuted Gargano and Champa, they debuted a lot of
Oh,
NXT people, and there was
yeah.
like no reaction. Sadly, I was in that crowd at
Mm.
the Cajun Dome in Lafayette, and the crazy part is I'm not gonna vouch for these people because it seems like they never seen like an episode of NXT in their life or a takeover. But it wasn't as bad as what people make it out to be because it was loud to some extent, but yeah, it was still pretty embarrassing. And to say I was a part of that crowd sucks. Like it was bad
Mm-hmm.
because I've been, like I said, to a lot of Raw and SmackDowns. That was bad. I've been to, let's see, three WrestleManias. They had two in New Orleans. They had 30 and 34 at the Superdome, and then we traveled to Dallas for 32, that horrible main event with Triple H and Roman, where we all knew Roman was going to win the title from Triple H. And I've been to two Royal Rumbles, one in San Antonio in 2017, where we thought Roman was going to win again. He was the 30th entrant. Everyone was pissed, and Orton ended up winning it. And then we went to the one in Houston right before the pandemic where Edge came back,
Uh,
and that was that was a crazy scene seeing Edge come back and even being there live. That was so cool.
that's actually I was just talking to Savannah, my co-host, about it last night. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the only one of like the big. They're calling Money in the Bank like the Big Five now. They're adding that for some reason, even though they're like
Yeah,
probably getting rid of the pay per view.
probably so.
I only need to go to a Royal Rumble, and then I've hit the Big Four.
Dang. Wow. Yeah, because I've never been to Survivor Series, nor have I been to SummerSlam. SummerSlam just came to Nashville, and that's still quite a while from me. So I'm not one to travel to a lot. If it's like far from me, I'm not one to hop on a plane
Mm.
because I mean, for me, I've never been on the plane.
Okay.
I have no plans on doing so. My brother travels every year by air. He goes to my cousins all the way in Iowa. It's by Omaha, so he
Okay.
travels there every year. Likes to go to the College World Series if LSU makes it. He likes to go watch them, so he goes every year. But yeah, I'm not one to travel a lot when it comes. I thought it was crazy that we went to Dallas. I thought it was crazy we went to San Antonio for a show. But yeah, if the opportunity comes and we're not doing nothing around the time, we always like to try to make it. So I would love if they would come around New Orleans more often, do a show. If they're gonna do like, I don't know, if Survivor Series or do a SummerSlam inside the Superdome, I feel like they can sell it out. And they did the same thing with WrestleMania twice.
Yeah.
So maybe something big like SummerSlam or Survivor Series can do the same thing in the Superdome, or if not, do the arena that's right next to it.
There you go.
I don't know. I just wish they'd come more often because they give a lot of shows AEW to Chicago and more of those northern states, like the East Coast and whatnot. I feel like they can come back over here.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's only we've gotten. I was at the first Dynamite that came through, um, and then when they did the first episode of Rampage, that was also in Pittsburgh. So
Okay.
the two times I think that AW has come through, I've gone, and I keep looking at the list. I'm like, they're really not fucking coming back. These bastards.
Yeah, I know they're hitting California again before they come over to New Orleans. So it's like there's no future plans for New Orleans right now. If they came back, I mean, we'd go again. It's
Yeah,
just
it's a
I don't know.
wrestling
I feel
show.
like New Orleans was a great crowd. New Orleans was a great crowd. I mean, it was one of like the greatest crowds I've been a part of. for an actual weekly show, and it's like they don't want to come back for some reason. It's crazy.
It's disrespectful, honestly.
It really is. Oh well.
Did you have anything else you wanted to ask me?
Let's see. I kind of one that you asked as well. You do a lot of shows. Smacking it raw, ShElite, and everything. Is there some sort of like an unexpected moment, kind of like a what the fuck moment that ever happened during a show or something like that for any one of the shows you do?
Oh God, I mean, anytime I'm on SmackDown, also like every week,
Yeah.
something unexpected happens. I feel like, especially if we have a guest on. Like I'm a part. I'm just the co-host. Um, but I think it was last week, if not the week before. Since they started live streaming, they have sound bites they use now, and
Mm-hmm.
one of the ones that because I was with them when they were trying to figure out the sound bites they wanted to use, the
Mm-hmm.
one that was used against me, unbeknownst to me, and I was not happy with at the time. It's "Shut up, bitch, swallow," because if you've
Oh,
been on the show, you know "spit or swallow" is the thing.
yeah.
And it was used against me, and I was told it was never going to be used against me, so I was very caught off guard by that.
Wow.
Um, yeah, so that I was just like, Vince, what the fuck is Vince the one who used it against me?
Yeah.
So then he was just like, I'm sorry, he didn't mean. He was just like, I was just kidding. But it's like, ever since they started using that, the soundboards get used against me a lot, and we just did because Matt has like his horror movie podcast now, or his
Yeah.
horror themed podcast called Getting Offed, because it's Matt.
Mm-hmm.
The one we just did talking about movies that scared us, he said something. If you look at the tweet that he put out for it, it said something about like absent dads. Don't worry, I checked. That was in reference to me because he said something, and if you watch the video, my jaw drops because I didn't expect him
Mm-hmm.
to say it. And then after the fact, he was just like, "Was it okay if I said that? Like, are you sure?" And I was like, "It's fine. I joke about it all the time. It's fine." I literally joked about it last night. So it's just, I feel like most of my unexpected moments seem to happen around and with Matt, boosting his ego again. But on ShElite itself, I can't think of anything. I mean, the chat tends to just have a mind of their own and they kind of just go off, and most of the time I ignore it, especially if they're just communicating with each other, going back and forth.
Right.
There was one time I was doing a solo episode because Savannah was busy, so I was just like, I'll still put out a show, fuck it. And the chat, which consisted of all my friends, decided to take female wrestlers as like, and they like would describe them as like candy bars.
Mm-hmm.
The entire time I'm doing my show, I'm stone faced, not looking at them, ignoring them, and then after the recording ends, I'm still live streaming. I look at the camera. I'm like, what the fuck, guys? And then later on, because we do a question of the week, I think of every week for the show. It was a few weeks ago. I decided to like bring that back, and I was just like, all right, since you fuckers wanted to do this, why not? Wrestlers, not just female wrestlers as candy bars, and then they went to town. It was the funniest. One of my favorite episodes we've done was specifically for that question. Yeah, it's a time over here.
Yeah. So I got one more. So something similar also. There's a lot of people I absolutely dream of interviewing, and the thing, I put my dream interview kind of in perspective as more of a realistic something, because I mean, if I was gonna set a dream, I was obviously gonna go like really big, like favorite of all time, Shawn Michaels. I'd love to have him on, but I know that's I'm more than likely never gonna happen.
Yeah.
So what's like your dream but also realistic person you would love to interview one day? Just kind of someone you would love to, and like you have the opportunity of doing so if the opportunity ever came.
So one of the big ones I think would be Renee Paquette.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
Inspiration doesn't even begin to describe it. I love everything she does. She has her Sessions podcast, and now she's with AEW with Mox, which that's amazing. But she was
Mhm.
always one of those people that I wanted to interview for so long, and I still do. Like, it's not, and I think it might be possible one day. Um,
Yeah.
it would just be so interesting to get her perspective on being a woman commentator on the flagship show for like a year that she was on, doing all the
Hmm.
backstage stuff, all the backstage stuff now with AEW. I personally think she should have been brought on as a commentator and got rid of JR, but that's just me. It's fine. Um,
Yeah.
see, people agree. But
Yeah, they
just
do.
getting to talk to her and like all the people she's talked to and like talking about all of that would be incredible. I would love the
Hmm.
opportunity. Either her, Lita was my favorite woman wrestler. Still kind of
Hmm.
is. When she came back early this past year. Yeah,
Mm,
was that this past year?
think. Yeah.
I honestly can't
Now I don't.
remember.
Now
Time
I don't
time
remember.
doesn't exist these past few years. Uh, but like when
Yeah.
she came back for this last run, I was losing my mind. I like started crying because I was like, I love her so
Mm.
much. I've seen her wrestle
Yeah.
live a few times, but getting to talk to her and like all the shit she had to deal with back then, oh my god, that'd be incredible. And Victoria,
Mhm.
because that's also like
Yes.
she deserves so much better. And I see her get interviewed every once in a while, and I'm like, God damn it, I want the interview. And I know people who I'd have to do that one with other people, because I know other
Hmm.
people who would want it. So I'd be like, I have to
Right.
share the wealth, I have to share the love. If we can tag team an interview, I will take the hit with it, because then I'd just be too nervous.
Of course. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Because like I've met wrestlers, and I
Hmm.
don't usually like I met Hangman like earlier
Okay.
this past year.
Yeah.
I didn't stumble over my words. I wasn't scared, which is shocking because as we both talked about, we don't do that kind of thing, and we kind of had to build ourselves
Right.
up.
Yeah.
But with
Yeah.
with wrestlers, I feel like I can keep my composure unless it's Adam Cole. Then all things are out the fucking window because that's my guy right now and has been for
Yeah.
NXT. Yeah, he's right there.
Is that? Yeah. But see, that's behind you. Yeah.
He's actually my little co-host.
Ah, I see that.
Yeah,
That's
that's an ongoing gag. Is they think he doesn't? They think he moves like off camera, like he's like
mm,
possessed or something. No, he's just there. He's a watchful eye. God damn
that's so
it.
good.
But anything else you want to ask me or talk about?
Yeah, I'm not a man of many questions, so unfortunately, I really don't have a lot more. Like when
That's
it
okay.
comes to asking questions, I have like the prep for a while to really get something going. So when we interview people, I have to like I sit in a room by like just by myself and like, okay, do I ask this? Do I not ask this? I don't want to ask something that they'll be uncomfortable with. I don't want
Mm-hmm.
to go too far asking someone something. So yeah, I think I asked everything I needed to.
And that's hey, that's fine. I've had people just ask me like one question, so that's perfectly fine.
Oh, yeah.
Um, all right. Well, thank you, Dylan, so much for doing this with me. You know you have to plug your socials, plug World Elite, do all this stuff. So go ahead.
Absolutely. Yeah. From my personal Twitter, I'm at Dylan Hebert underscore. If you follow me on there, my timeline consists of me just retweeting different episodes because I run the World Elite page as well. So I'm constantly retweeting that. Or if it's a Sunday or a Monday, then I'm constantly bitching about the Saints because we're in between not doing well or just doing well as we did last week. So you'll see me complaining like hell on Twitter during football season. So if you don't mind me ranting, then you're good to follow me. If you don't, then I wouldn't suggest doing so. But you can go ahead and follow me if you're not already. World Elite Podcast. We're on Twitter at World Elite Pod, Facebook, YouTube, wherever. Subscribe, follow, whatever you want to do. Check us out. I know this is going to come out on a different day, but we're live streaming tonight. Crown Jewel predictions not long after this actually, so I gotta start prepping for that once this is over. But like I said, I'm not pressed for time. They can wait. It doesn't bother me. I was gonna stay on. I was gonna stay on here as long as you wanted to have me on. So I'm not impatient whatsoever. But yeah, we're everywhere. All the audio platforms, all the live video platforms, wherever. Not much merchandise out right now. As of right now, I'm trying to piece together some more stuff. And if you're in, if you're a guy watching this and you like to shop on Manscaped, we just got sponsored by them. Promo code WEP to get 20% off and free shipping. So it doesn't help. It doesn't hurt to plug that as well.
No, hey, plug it all, dude, as you should.
That's all. That's all I got though.
Alright, and I gotta do my spiel. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at KaterAsson13. Link to I'm about to take all things ShElite Showcase. Twitch.tv/ShElite Showcase. Typically Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern, roughly, and if my internet holds out, YouTube.com/ShElite Showcase. I say watch the videos because they're way more entertaining. Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, if you like to listen. ShElite's the brand, the weekly show Inside the Mind of that you're currently watching is my interview series that I do. In the Crowd is currently on hiatus because I'm blaming Justin from GetShow for not getting back to me with people. I'm just putting all the blame on him. I'm sorry, Just. My co-host Savannah has the New Japan Takeover, which is currently on a hiatus, but she has episodes talking about all things New Japan, and she has a new show coming out soon once they reshoot it because she had some hardware issues. And then I'm doing another show because I don't do enough. It's going to be called Story Time with Katie Kinsey. And then I have Bebe really small because I don't know, like, legally if I can use that. So it's just going to be really tiny at the bottom. And I'm just going to go through and tell stories about my wrestling experiences that I've had. Like I was telling you, the first one that will be coming out is about the first time and the only time I've been to WrestleMania. Just short little YouTube stuff that I decided to do because I feel like I'm a good storyteller. And obviously the biggest shout out goes to Justin from Heel Tactics, who has created the music for all the shows I just named. Yeah, that man has created music for them. I'm so excited for people to hear the Storytime one because it's so different and I like challenging him. And he listens to my requests. So thank you, Justin, for doing all of that. And thank you again, Dylan, so much for doing this. I had a blast. Hopefully we will work together soon, whether it's on your show, my show, Matt's show, whoever's show. We will get it done. I promise.
Oh, absolutely. Whenever you want to link up again, I'm all down for it.
We will talk after this and we will set something up. But thank you everyone for watching and listening. Till next time. Bye-bye.